Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, and welcome. Yes, to the Flagstick Podcast presented by Ping Golf Canada. If you're looking to improve your game, then you need to check out the entire family of G425 drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, and irons. Visit ca.ping.com for more information. All right. Well, we're back. Scott McLeod and Jeff Potter are here with you. We took another week off, but when we take these weeks off, it's because we have to. And it wasn't really a week off. I mean, if anybody has been living under a rock for the last week, especially in this region, the CP Women's Open just wrapped up on Sunday at Ottawa Hunt Golf Club. And Scott McLeod was on site, as well as Flagstick Joe McLean was on site all week long.
Yeah, Chris Stevenson as well.
Chris Stevenson, CJ, yes, he was working with us and doing all things Flagstick throughout the week as well. So we had a whole crew on site, guys sun up to sundown,
literally
sleep deprived, nutrition deprived, you name it. And yours truly cruised in for 3 or 4 days to see what was going on and to get the lay of the land and watch some golf and talk to some people. And so we had a full crew and on site for the whole week. So that's why we weren't recording podcasts for the week, because that would have been kind of throwing in a little too much, I think.
It was a busy week. There was a lot of steps done. I think I averaged about 20,000 some odd steps a day, following lots of players. I said it to a lot of people. I said it on a couple of radio appearances and stuff as well. This was a Super Bowl for us.
Oh yeah.
Getting the LPGA within the National Capital Region here in Ottawa, Canada, once every 5 years. It's been 2017 since it was here. This was a huge occasion, and I mean, everybody was there. And we'll get into it more when we get into the back nine, but like I said, it was just a busy week, and trying to throw in a podcast there wouldn't have worked too well.
Yeah, I know, but a little much. Plus, I mean, a lot of stuff going on that whole week, so there's a lot of stuff that was information gathered that we can now share.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that the whole event is over, we can talk about it. So that said, yes, we have an unbelievable amount of information to get through this week on the podcast. So we don't want to waste a whole lot of time, but we do want to make sure that we tell you we're going to wrap up the CP Women's Open. In Product Watch, we're going to discuss some trends that we saw throughout that week and that we've seen throughout the year on the LPGA Tour. A little different when it's all close up. And Kevin Haim wants to help you get the tension out of your starting position. So without further ado, let's get right to it, because there's lots to get to. Let's get to the front nine, presented, of course, always by our good friends at Metcalfe Golf Club, a natural setting and present challenge. Looking for fun golf at a great rate? Save 15% when you prepay at metcalfegolf.com. So, front nine, Scott, let's get to it. The aforementioned Metcalfe Golf Club is one of our sponsors. It's been the sponsor of Front Nine all year long, but a big event every year in the season is the Metcalfe Charity Classic. Has been for, I'm thinking now, 21 years.
Yeah, hard to believe.
I know. And we've been there every step of the way with them since day one, presenting sponsor. Yes, Metcalfe is close to my home, in fact, right across the street. So very community-based sponsorship and involvement for us. Great client, great facility, great family.
They raised a lot of greats.
I know, but it is great. They raised $14,000 for the Osgood Care Center, which is a long-term care facility in the Osgood area, serving Metcalfe, Greeley, the whole Ottawa area.
South end of Ottawa,
a lot of people
for sure,
in this area. And that's $193,000 that's been raised in that 21 years for the Osgood Care Center. Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. You know what? Events like this are really the heart of golf. People don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize, how much golf tournaments are used as a tool to raise money for charity. And that's one of the great parts of the game. A lot of people want to get together, raise money for good causes. And, there's billions literally raised every year in Canada by golf tournaments like this. So, good on Metcalfe for continuing to do the event. Very, it's a challenge to run something like that for over 2 decades. And the fact that they still do it, great for them, and obviously great for the golf, for the Osgood Care Center, and great for the community.
It's a lot of greats.
It is great. See? Man,
see how hard it is not to say great when you're speaking of something that's great.
Next.
Okay. This is a cool story because this is a follow-up. This is a triumph of sorts. We did this story on flagstick.com
2015.
Yeah, 2015, man. So why don't you tell the story about David Stockwell?
Yeah, so I'll preface this. There's a gentleman from Ottawa who was a former public servant who sort of went on a quest. And it's one a lot of people maybe thought about before, but never realized it could be possible to do. There are royal golf courses, designated royal golf courses around the world. In fact, there's 66 of them. So these are golf courses that basically have royal patronage, and they're designated to use the royal name. Now, we'll say there's a couple out there that maybe have used the royal designation unofficially, but these are the courses that have used the royal designation. And David came to us. Our Joe McLean got to know him pretty well, and did a feature story in 2015 about his quest to play every single royal golf course around the world. Now, obviously, things like COVID, just
like
general travel.
General
travel. There's a lot of complications that go into this quest to be able to do it. And you know what? We got an update from David this week, which we have up on flagstick.com. It took him 47 years.
Wow.
But he finally did it. He got the last one in, and it's a very unique last private golf club that most people don't know about. That is called the Royal Household Golf Club, located next to Windsor Castle. And if people want to go up to flagstick.com, they can get the full details up there of the experience, how he got in there, what it was all about, and the fact that now he has completed all 66 Royal Golf Clubs around the world. Yeah, kind of neat, really cool for him.
That's incredible. And what a way to finish on the, to get obviously that was likely going to be his last one, because such a rare find to even know that it's there, let alone be able to play it. So
yeah,
incredible. Okay, so congratulations, David, on your completing your quest. And anybody wants to read a little bit more about that, go to flagstick.com. That's where you'll find it. All right, the East Coast Pro Tour. Ty Salone. Am I getting that right? Salone?
You got it. Salone. Yep.
This was so why don't you talk about this, Scott, because you're a little bit more familiar with the East Coast Pro Tour than I am, but why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, this is significant. Just so Ty's from Long Sault, down near the Cornwall area. Fine young golfer. Followed him lots during his career, and he went on from junior and amateur golf to play at college at Eastern Michigan. Had a great career there, and then he decided to turn pro. So when guys turn pro, and women as well, you don't always jump up to the big circuits. You got to play some of the mini tours before you get access. You got to get that experience, and he happens to be playing one of the tours that he's playing is the East Coast Pro Tour, which is based in Quebec, has some events down in the States, Eastern Canada. It's been operating for a few years now, and he's had some good finishes, but he finally got his first win. He won the Sutton Quebec match play. That's his first pro win, so good on you, Ty. Congratulations. He beat out Mark Casulo, who was actually a winner on various tours. So it was a good win for him. Beat him out 4-3 in the final. So a nice win for Ty. And again, it's a player that we've watched for a long time, and we're going to continue to watch, just like we do. A lot of these young players in Canada. I mean, there's so many that are coming up. People always say, "Oh, we're the next great golfers coming from? Well, they're already here. They're already around.
Yeah.
They're just going to take a while to get the seasoning and to work their way up onto the tours. But, the talent pool is super deep. And this is just showing, here's another golfer that 99% of the other people in Canada probably don't even know about. So, pay attention to Ty Salone for sure.
It's funny because people don't realize, I mean, I'm sure people realize, but how difficult it really is to get to the PGA Tour, because it's not just about getting there.
No.
It's about there being a spot for you when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only so many spots that are available each year for PGA Tour players for someone to jump onto the tour. And in order for you to go and take one of those spots, somebody has to drop out. So for every 25 that get in, 25 are going back to the Corn Ferry Tour, or they're going wherever. Generally speaking, if they're off the PGA Tour, they're going back to Corn Ferry Tour. It's ridiculously tough to get there, and there has to be a place for you when you arrive. So just because there's 100 good golfers, like, they're all really, really good golfers. Like, anybody that's playing the Corn Ferry Tour right now potentially has more than enough potential to play on the PGA Tour and be the next DJ or Patrick Reed or Rory McIlroy potentially. I mean, any of these guys could be the next guy that finishes top 10 every week on the PGA Tour. But before they finish top 10 on the tour, they got to get there.
Yeah.
And getting there is not just about being a good golfer.
No, and there's got to be spots there, and obviously with the the arrival of things like the Live Tour, there's more spots on the PGA Tour available. We won't even get into that. But
you know what? That's a positive. I guess that there is a positive to the Live Tour, is that it's opening. With those guys leaving and going to Live Golf, at least for the time being, until things sort themselves out there. Maybe they end up back, but I hope not. There's more space opened up for new golfers, rookie golfers to come up, and that's opportunity. For every DJ that goes to Live, there's another DJ playing the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, well, the difficulty is that golf, the lifespan for a pro golfer in their career lasts a lot longer than other sports. Yes. So if we look at, a pro football player, I mean, a pro football player might play 3 years in their career. Yeah. A long career in the NHL might be 10 years. So the thing is we've got pro golfers that are playing for 30 years. So it's a lot harder to get those spaces, and obviously there's a lot of people that want those spaces, but it's some of these smaller tours where players have to grind it out. I've said it many, many times. Usually the money runs out before the talent does, because in pro golf you certainly have to pay your way a little bit. You got to pay your expenses. There's not a case of a guaranteed paycheck and whatever. So good on some of these young players, both from the male and female side, that are grinding away and trying for their opportunity to get themselves up onto the bigger tours. But that takes a certain level of perseverance and then success at these lower levels to kind of work their way up, get the attention, also maybe get the attention of sponsors that provide them support, and be able to work their way up. So good luck to Ty Salone. Congratulations on that first win, and we look forward to covering more of them.
Exactly. All right, so off to one of our favorites, Smuggler's Glen. No stranger to hosting some big events. Obviously, Great Waterway Classic on PGA Tour Canada for a few years there. Was hosted a number of provincial championships. Host of the original, the Flagstick Shootout, which I must say we are trying to see what we can do about bringing that back. So details to follow someday. I like that tease.
It's details coming to follow.
But they once again were at it, hosting another provincial championship, the Golf Ontario U17 Championships. And just looking here, Matthew Javier, did I get it? Javier from Scarborough Golf and Country Club.
And Alyssa Zhu.
And Alicia Zhu. Of Station Creek Golf Club were the boys and girls Ontario Juvenile Championship winners, the U17. I guess everything's following the hockey world now. 54 holes of golf, and
some nice play.
That's pretty incredible. 6 under for Matthew, is 6 under for the 3 rounds. And Alicia was even par. So that course is no joke.
No, I mean, yeah, 54 holes there. Course is fantastic condition, really nice setup. Reg Millage from Golf Ontario. Uh, he basically helped, do the setup, was very wise about the setup, did some practice rounds and went out there. You know what? To a person, unfortunately, we weren't able to get down there because it was happening the same time as the
Yeah,
CB
of
Women's
course.
Open week. But, I talked to a number of coaches, a number of players, everybody who attended. There was just glowing reviews for the work that the Seal family and then Jason Boyce down there, his team out on the golf course, what they did in taking care of this place. They were certainly ready. It was nice to see this provincial championship, a Golf Ontario championship, go to Smugglers. Well
Yeah.
deserved. I would still say it's an underrated golf course because a lot of people haven't seen it. Maybe when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of people from possibly like the GTA, where the bulk of people are in Ontario,
Hmm.
haven't made the trip down. So once they do, I mean, I know when I was sharing just like overhead drone photos, plane photos, and stuff beforehand, people are like, "Whoa, where is this place?" And once the people
Doesn't that
got down
baffle you a
here,
little bit? It's kind of
it's
baffling a
it's
little
a
bit
big
because,
province. I mean, that's the thing. It is baffling to us because we're nearby, and obviously we have a lot of experience with this golf course. But you also have to understand and realize that if you jump in a car and start driving, and you drive 24 hours, you're still within the province if you head towards Thunder Bay. So
yeah.
it's a big place. Not everybody's going to get here. Not everybody's going to be familiar. Whereas a lot of people would get to the GTA area. So yeah, I mean, it just shows you that there's such quality golf courses around this province that just maybe don't get the attention, don't have the eyeballs. And it's events like this with the Golf Ontario, the U17 championship, that helps them get that exposure. And already just hearing players talk a lot about it, which is fantastic for them. And kudos to everyone at Smugglers for being a great host this year.
Yes, indeed. All right, OVGA Senior Women's Intersectionals. We're getting, I think we're very close
Close.
to wrapping up. I think we got one more. I think we got the men's senior men's intersectionals still to go before we wrap up the intersectional season. Seems like a very long
Yeah,
season of
it,
intersectionals,
it,
right? But
it does. And a couple of the sections are going to be a couple weeks behind with the takedown taking place at the Ottawa Hunt Club. They had to obviously postpone their section. So that was the B section. And there's also the one that's being held at Metcalfe. They're both being hosted on September 13th. So we obviously don't have full results, but
yeah,
the Highlands Golf Club, the team from there, prevailed in Class A. It was held at Greyhawk. I will tell you the A division went Highlands had 30 points, Royal Ottawa 27, Rideau 19, and Greyhawk was 8. So they will drop down into B, and we don't know as of yet who will be the B team that moves up for 2023.
cool. All right. The last thing on the OVGA docket, I know they got the Tournament of Champions still to go before the end of the year, and I think there's another event as well. I think there's some type of team event. But the OVGA Cup concluded at Camelot Golf and Country Club. And there were finalists in the women's, senior men's, and men's division.
Yep.
And now the OVGA Cup is kind of a smaller event that started in 2019. And the entry is only available to the top 25 players on the order of merit. 15 women, 15 men, 15 senior men.
45 total.
Sorry, 45.
Each. Yeah, 45.
Who have played a minimum. They have to have played a minimum of 2 OVGA competitions during the season.
Yeah, it's a good way to encourage players to get involved in playing the events, because it's another little bonus. The fact that if they're involved and earn enough points, they have the access to play in this event.
Exactly. And well, I'll let you wrap it up.
You go have your coffee.
I'm reading here. Oh my
clear
God!
the
I
fog
swear to God, I did not sleep last night. I know I did, but I swear to God, I didn't, because I feel like I'm just
you're probably tired from
this morning.
You're probably tired from our our whole location setup day yesterday at Brockville Country Club.
Because I did so much.
We beat the rain though, which
We
is
did
good.
beat the rain and the storm and whatever. Although I'll tell you a quick story about that rain a little later. But
all right, no worries. Winners for the individual as far as the cups. Lee's Juvenile won the women's division. Joan O'Connor won in a playoff with Venema. Peter Venema, that was who was, and Brad Goodman from Greensmere. 3-hole playoff there at Camelot, and Peter Harrison won the senior. Lee's also won the Order of Merit. So did Peter as well, and then Brad Goodman won the Order of Merit for points for the season for the OVGA. But great event there. Like you said, it's a small event, but certainly one that players want to get into, and chance to win. The other cool part within this is that Lee's Juvenile, obviously, we've covered her lots over the years. She has now put her name on every individual winner's trophy in the OVGA, as well as partnering with Brenda Pilon in team events and adding their names to the various trophies. So think about that. Wow. Every single OVGA women's trophy, her name is now on. So that's pretty incredible. That's quite a feat for Lee. So congratulations to her.
Wow. That's
yeah, big one.
There's cementing your legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
Way to go, Lee's. Nice job. Now the OVGA, staying with the OVGA, obviously, we're going to stay with them for a little bit here, but the OVGA Hall of Fame, they this year, the way they've been kind of doing the inductions is it's sort of been pockets of inductions rather than one big huge ceremony for every single inductee. They've been doing pockets of them throughout the year. Yeah. And
usually at their home club or where they're affiliated with, just to make it easier for everybody to get there and support them. So
for
make
sure,
for better events.
Now the latest inductee was Lee Curry.
Yeah.
Now Lee's not. It's not like we're talking about a guy who's in his 60s or 70s that's
no
massive career. That's not the criteria for the OVGA Hall of Fame. Not to mention Lee's accomplishments more than placed him in that in the Hall of Fame conversation right away.
Yeah, for sure.
He's had one heck of a career as a golfer. Especially throughout this region. He's very well known. I don't think there's that many people that don't know who Lee Curry is. But for those of you that might not know exactly what Lee Curry has accomplished, now, first of all, before we get to that, I just want to talk about just really quickly. Lee gets up. He's at the induction ceremonies. He gets up and takes the mic, and I just want to read a quote here. To receive this award is humbling, to say the least. I think back to being a young junior golfer and looking up to the Tommy Moores, Chris McQuaig's playing golf and thinking, man, I'd like to be there someday. Those guys were so amazing, and they were the best in the Ottawa area. To be where they are, and I think, how did that ever happen? It's pretty cool for sure. Lee's a quiet guy. He's very humble. Yeah. Not a limelight. Doesn't particularly like the limelight that much. So for Lee to get up and those words and speak of Tom Moore and Chris McQuaig, these are the guys that I was covering OVGA events when I started Flagstick in 1996. Tom Moore and Chris McQuaig and Robert Mackay. These were the guys that were and Lee was a junior. I mean, he was a very young junior at that point. To see how much he's accomplished and to see where he's come it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of Lee Curry speeches over the years and a lot of tournaments, but and as you said, he's usually very economical with his words. We'll put it that way. So for him to express that obviously is very important to him. He's the 19th member of the OVGA Hall of Fame to go in here. And, not only did he have a distinguished amateur career with many, many wins. I mean, we can go through the list, but, that might take 2 podcasts to be able to go through it as far as championships, at the Golf Quebec level and obviously in the OVGA level, turned pro. was a fine pro as well. Still, obviously, as a club professional, he's still having great levels of success, having recently won his 7th zone championship. But, we followed him all the way up to the Corn Ferry Tour at Sports Play, watched him play, all sorts of different, winning a Canada Cup, winning a Great Lakes Tour, all sorts of different things. So, it's a well-deserved recognition, certainly for somebody who's, put his stamp on the game. And the cool part for him is that, he did turn pro, he did become a club professional, and now he's a teaching professional at Camelot. So, he's giving back to the game, and maybe he's, helping make the next Lee Curry. And maybe there's some kid that's there that's looking up to him, just as he did for the Tommy Moores and Chris McQuaggs, and will carry in his footsteps.
Yeah, no, and I guess we can, if anybody's looking to get more detail on his accomplishments and a little more detail about the induction ceremonies, obviously flagstick.com.
Yeah.
You can check it all out there, because it will be posted there. But yeah, I mean, look, we've been doing this for 26 years. When we talk about seeing these players like Lee Curry and Brad Fritch and Brooke Henderson, and like, we're not talking about covering these players when they were, just when they were young. We're talking about covering these players when they were younger than young, like,
Yeah.
and playing when they were, the very youngest of age, before they were hitting
before
it
they're really lifting, before they were lifting trophies.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like getting to know them before they're actually, really good at the game, right? And yeah, it certainly creates a great connection. And yeah, I mean, we can get into it more and more, but I mean, watching these players, play at the pro level.
Yes.
Last week, for an example, the CP Women's Open. I mean, we have a way different perspective on watching Brooke Henderson play golf than, most of the people that are in the crowd. I mean, a lot of people know her as well. I mean, there's a lot of people that are familiar with her and know her from Smith Falls. But I was kind of laughing, thinking, how many miles have I walked following Brooke Henderson or Joe, as or pictures that we've taken or whatever, which, again, it's a privilege, and it just creates a different connection, and we see a different perspective, and yeah, it's a fun part of being, doing what we do, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is it. I mean, it's seeing it from start to finish, and it's not far from over for any of these people we're talking about. But even someone like Lee's Juvenile, going back to that. I mean, I've been doing this since 1996. I've been covering Lee's accomplishments, as a golfer for that long.
Well, here's a great example. I had a couple of people. We were standing on the range behind the tee line at the CP Women's Open, and it just so happened that there's a couple people that I knew that were standing over by Mon-Ami LeBlanc's bag, and we're having a good laugh over it, saying, "Oh, okay, she just left her bag here," whatever. That security that was there. Obviously, everybody who was inside the ropes was, credentialed, so it's not like anybody's going to walk away with a golf bag. But Mon-Ami came over and we were having a chat. We had a chat about her 2008 win at the Quebec Amateur in Camelot and how long ago that was. So, of course, I had to remind myself that was just a couple of years ago for sure. But again, the fact that standing on a balcony with her, her plate that she won for winning that Quebec Women's Amateur, and nobody else around and no media around, and and then now all of a sudden, a massive spotlight, world-class player, playing on the LPGA Tour, having great success. But that road's come a long way, and there's just a casual kind of relationship there. And we actually bumped into each other again later in the week. She had a whole bunch of family out at a restaurant, and we happened to be leaving at the same time. And again, just had a couple of minute chat there or whatever. And it just creates that connection, that bond, and it just makes it a lot easier to have discussions with those players and cover them, and probably get some more earnest words from them, rather than maybe what they would just share with somebody they've never met before.
Exactly. All right, well, that wraps up the front nine, and we still got a lot of show left. So we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna talk CP Women's Open wrap up. We're heading to the lesson tee. with Kevin Haim, who's adamant about getting the tension out of your body at your set during your setup, and we're going to talk a little bit of something unique on Product Watch as well. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do all that. So stay with us.
At Ping, we're an engineering company. Success is measured in the lab and on your scorecard. We focus on results, your results. In the G425 Max driver, that means more time in the fairway, less time in the rough. It means longer drives, shorter approach shots, and fewer putts. The new G425 drivers, taking MOI to the max. Get fit today.
Visit ca.ping.com to learn more about G425.
All right, we're back. My God, I thought it would get better in the back nine. I went and got another coffee. I'm ready to go. I even said when we came back, I said, Scott, I said, I'm good. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm not ready to go.
You're gonna have to switch to espresso, I think.
Oh,
my friend.
for God's sake. I can't. I got to put this coffee into me through intravenous so it's a constant flow of caffeine or something. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, yes, we're back. Scott and Jeff here with you. And we're going to head to the lesson tee. However,
we're going to go farther down the tee.
Yeah, we're going to go further down the tee. I promised you that Kevin wanted you to get the tension out of your swing. But in actual fact, 2 episodes ago, Kevin helped you get the tension out of your swing. So we don't need to go there again.
But thanks, Jake. Jake, for telling us.
Thanks, Jake, for that, letting us know. But anyway, instead of that, what we're going to do is we're going to have Kevin help you with your trigger move.
All right.
All right. So we're talking trigger move on the lesson tee with Kevin Haim. And of course, the lesson tee is brought to you by the Kevin Haim Golf School. It's always the right time to play better golf. Whether you need private lessons, a better short game, some putting help, or a custom club fitting, visit kevinhaim.com. And remember that better golf is a lot more fun, especially when you get the right tip. So off to the lesson tee we go. And let's see what Kevin has to say about the trigger move.
Okay, golfers, time for a quick tip. And this week we're back to our resistance band. I taught you how to coil and load into that back leg a few weeks back. Today I just want to give you a little move that can help your golf every single swing. It's a trigger move that I really like. Obviously, when I pull on this resistance band, if my midsection travels and the weight gets to the outside of my leg, I'm in big trouble. I don't want to do that. I want to turn or wind into myself. So here's your little quick tip for today. Take your trail knee and just point it in a little bit as a trigger move. So right before you go to swing that golf club, just kick in the knee just a touch. Put the weight on the inside of that back foot. Then as you rotate back, you'll have an easier time of loading into your thigh, winding up properly for better shots. Swaying, traveling to your back outside leg is a killer in golf. Try my little trigger move and I bet you play better golf.
Well, all right.
See,
that's, I mean, I don't know that that's better than.
Maybe you need a trigger move for, waking up in the day.
It's called an alarm clock. I think the internal alarm clock kept me up all night or something. I don't know. Anyways, but yes, I mean, it's
certainly important, as far as players getting their swing started. We see a lot of people that are very static in their golf swings and need a way to get started. And definitely, it's not something a lot of people think about. But once they do think about it, they're like, oh, yeah, you know what? I do stand over the golf ball for a long time. I have to get my swing moving somehow. And there you go. There's a little nugget to help you do that.
Perfect. Okay. Trigger move. All right. Lesson T done. Back nine.
You got it.
And the back nine is presented by Golf Sim Gurus. As always, work on your game all year round in the privacy of your own home. Custom golf simulator setups built to your specs and to fit your budget. Visit golfsimgurus.ca for more information. And in fact, just talking to Andy McWilliams, who's the owner of Golf Sim Gurus, and he's got a little project starting up in Kemptville soon. However, I won't say much about it because it's not my place. However, it is getting close to time for the fall is coming, and simulators. Don't wait.
Indoors.
If you're even thinking about wanting a golf simulator built in your house, in your garage, in your living room, if your
wherever
wife likes to let you do that kind of thing, or if your husband lets you do that kind of thing, you can call Andy at Golf Sim Gurus or visit golfsimgurus.ca, and you might want to do that sooner rather than later. Okay.
100%.
The moment of the show we've been waiting to get to, the CP Women's Open. Obviously, this was last week, just wrapped up. Busy week for us. But now we get to wrap it all up for you in a tight little bow.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, Scott, why don't you lead us into this, because this was your baby all week. And I'll just, I'll chime in when I got something important to say, or I will turn my camera off and just drink my coffee, try to wake up so I can at least get into Product Watch with you. Go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing going into this, we had a number of preview episodes and talking about it. A lot of big stories to come out of this week, and just to top them off, obviously Brooke Henderson is certainly the face of the LPGA, especially here in Canada. Getting her back here at a club where she's an honorary member, 45 minutes from her home in Smith Falls, was going to be a big storyline, as it was, and we knew that was going to be a big case going in. They ended up with over 73,000 fans attended this tournament, and I would say 85% of those people were probably following Brooke. I know you waded into the Brooke crowd a couple of times. It was wild, as we expected. Certainly was going to be part of the story. She had a lot of obligations early on in the week, was on site very early getting prepared. A lot of things that went into the week, but I mean, right from the start, people were following her around. Started the official tournament with 3 birdies right away, and man, you could hear the whole place just start to rumble as soon as that happened. Unfortunately, it didn't play out as everyone would probably hope, and we have to realize here, golf's hard. And the fact that she won in 2018, came back, was in the final group in 2019. That was the last time the CP Women's Open was held. So this was nice as well. It was a bit of a comeback for the tournament. Hadn't been held obviously during the pandemic years. She ended up shooting 269 in the final round, ended up tied for 49th. But I tell you what, I didn't hear a fan that was upset about not seeing her.
Oh.
And she sort of saw the silver lining as well, realized that she's disappointed in not having her best stuff, but she also knew why this tournament was so important, not only for the community, but just golfers in general, the club, so many different things. And I think in the end, while we can be disappointed in the fact that where she finished, we also have to understand that she carried this tournament on her shoulders.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, they can't have their best stuff every week.
No,
they can't be at the top of the leaderboard contending for every tournament every week. I mean, just look at the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Look at the leaderboard from the CP Women's Open, then take a look at the same leaderboard from the week before, and then take a look at the same leaderboard from the week before that, and so on down the road. It's very seldom you don't get the same. I mean, golf is so much different now. You don't get that same look to the leaderboard week in and week out that maybe you used to. When you always used to see.
And I'm not sure you used to as well. And I think hindsight says that player was in contention all the time, but I mean, Tiger is an anomaly. But even on the LPGA Tour, a huge year for a player, might be 4 wins. Well, that's 4 wins out of 35 tournaments. So it's not like they're winning week in and week out and dominating the game. So, again, we just have to realize and understand and appreciate these are world-class athletes. And as she said, she didn't think she deserved the crowd. The people should have been going to watch other really good golf. But I think what people learned from doing that or going to this event, and even for the ones that, got away from watching Brooke, and maybe following some of the other groups, they realized how talented these players were, and they got to be fans of different players, which again makes it healthy for the game to kind of spread that out, because you don't want any sport dependent on one athlete. If that happens, that's a problem, because if that athlete is not there or doesn't perform, then the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, and so So yeah, so unfortunate for Brooke not to be where she wanted to be, but you know, Brooke doesn't suck. Come on.
No,
like, I mean, even
he's a
the
12-time
69
LPGA winner. Yeah.
even the 69 on the final day. I mean, okay, it's 269 in that golf course is pretty good. So take away from it what you will. Hopefully, you know, people enjoyed following her and what and some of the other girls as well. However, one of the things that I noticed, you know, because I wasn't there every day like you were, but one of the things that I really noticed was the infrastructure of the tournament, the way that the tournament was set up from the concession areas to the media area to the way the driving range was set up, the fan zone that they had over over by the driving range, in between the driving range and the 10th tee, and the caddy lounge. I mean, all these extra little things that the players and the caddies were saying, like, this is, you know, this is the best that it is on tour.
Yeah.
Like, this is the best that we get on the tour. And I mean, that's what I noticed the most. And the ease at how things just, like, we flowed around that golf course watching golf. I was there with my son Brandon on the Friday, and we flowed around watching golf, and there was no issue. Yes, there were crowds, but that's expected. But it was just so easy to move around, and, like, really well done.
Yeah, you know, tournament director Ryan Paul, backed by a lot of people. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of volunteers, there's a lot of members from the club that were involved. This thing was pretty seamless. I mean, I've been to a lot of pro events, and you know, it's such a great location. Not only a fantastic golf course, but you know, from a logistics standpoint, you know, with a lot of space across the street, airport nearby, restaurants, hotels, access to everything. Yes, it's not right downtown, but you know, players wandered down there when they wanted to. It is such a great spot, and there was just so many different elements here. And as you said, you know, whether it was the caddy lounge or player dining, or you know, just seamlessness of people be able to get around, there's no logistic issues. I mean, you get that when you go to some events where people complain about, you know, I had to wait 3 hours for a shuttle bus, or you know, whatever the case may be. There's lots of different things that can happen. Viewing areas were poor or whatever. This wasn't the case. This is well thought out. It went really well. There was a lot of smiling faces. There was a lot of access for the kids. The kids could get close from, you know, autograph lines, areas where they could get to exclusively. It just made for a fun festival-like environment, without being crazy. And no disrespect to the RBC Canadian Open this year, but while it was a cool environment, some things certainly I think got a little bit out of hand, as far as, you know, the broskies and the beverages and whatever. It got, you know, everybody wants to be the Waste Management Open until they become the Waste Management Open. So while there's a fun environment and there's a certain level that you can get to, there's a point where there's some diminishing returns. And you know, we don't see that so much in the LPGA Tour, and we certainly didn't see it in this. And everything was very controlled, well, very well executed, and as you said, you know, seamless to get in there and get out of there. You know, the caddy lounge next to the range, they loved it. You know, caddies are taken care of. They're up in player dining. The players, I mean, they love Ottawa. They love coming to Canada. The fans supported them. They were very positive. I never heard a boo, which you will hear sometimes, unfortunately. You know, on the PGA Tour. They were certainly polite. They were knowledgeable. You know, marshals didn't have a lot of heavy work to do, as far as, you know, controlling crowds and things. And you know, kudos to the Ottawa Hunt Golf Club. I know this is a difficult thing for members to take on. You know, especially for them having gone through the Derico storm back in May, losing 16 days of operations as far as being able to play golf. And you know what, you know as well as we've talked about it here a lot, you know, losing 1,100 trees and all the work that went into that by, you know, Eric Ruse and his team and everybody they brought in, who, you know, really got out of the golf course a week before this tournament started. Just, you know, I can't praise everyone enough for how this went. And you know, also to the 73,000 people that, you know, showed up, big time, and attended the crowd. So you know, what were your thoughts as far as, you know, maybe not from the media side of it, but from a, a spectator side of it. You got to see that a little bit more.
Well, yeah,
from
that's
a spectator side. You
like
got
I said,
a mix of it.
That was the big thing for me is the Friday that I spent out there with my son and just wandering around. We sort of had a plan. He hasn't seen the golf course since the last time that the CP Women's Open was here,
right?
And so that's a fair. No, he's 15 now, so he was 10. And he didn't really remember much about the golf course.
Sure.
From back then, he really wasn't paying as much attention to the golf course as he was the golf. This time, he was paying more attention to the golf course.
Right.
And we just basically got onto the property. The shuttles from the parking lot were a piece of cake. Drop off in. We wandered around. Sorry, we were there on the Saturday, not the Friday. We wandered around. We started the first tee, and we basically, we played 18 holes. Right. We weren't really too concerned about who was on which hole. Mm-hmm. We just wanted to see a lot of golf, and it was really easy just to, down the sides of the ropes. I mean, yeah, there were some crowds when we finally did get to Brooke. It was a lot harder to get close, so we had to jump ahead about 4 holes and sort of sit right by the rope. So we ended up sitting by the ropes on the tee on 16, and just sat right against the ropes so that when she did come up to tee off on 16, we could see her up close and personal. And at the same time, we just turned around and watched approach shots into 18 for an hour, and then. So it was the experience was great. We were the Heritage Club area was sort of where we had tickets to get in for food and dining. We got to go up into the balcony and sit down and have a bite to eat.
Yep. Thank you. Shout out Ryan Logan for the assistance there.
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciated that. And the concessions were busy, but that's to be expected. So it was nice to go into another area, but that was, one of those premiums, if people wanted that, they paid a little extra to get that kind of treatment, but that's the way these things work.
Sure,
you want a different experience, you
pay
buy a different experience, and that's really what it comes down to. So, I thought it was awesome. I don't really remember much from 2019 from the experience of it because I was 2017. See, this is crazy.
More coffee.
Can't even get sip of coffee. Oh my God. I don't remember as much from then because it was so long ago, but it was also, I was focused on something a little different then. But this time I kind of absorbed everything. And I got to experience everything. And that, I can see where the fans would have just had an unbelievable time.
And the course was great too. I mean, I was
God, was it ever?
Yeah. It showed really well on TV. I was fortunate to get an up close and inside look on the Tuesday, doing a little caddying duty for one of our young Canadians, Michelle Liu, and it was just mint from tee to green, and everything possibly that could be done was done. I saw the crew out there immediately after the groups would get done. They were out there taking care of things, filling divots, you name it. They were taking care of that place, and the players loved it. The layout was so good, and I heard the word major championship a few times out of their lips of just the quality of the golf course. The rink was a fun experience too. That was nice.
It was different.
That's the first time for an addition to to the CP Women's Open. If people are not familiar, or maybe you're not familiar with hockey, basically they had a setup with hockey boards around the tee area. Obviously had their marshals decked out in referees uniforms. Zamboni. People were rattling, smashing their hands against the boards, making some noise and stuff like that. So that was a little bit of a rowdier experience as it is. They had some jerseys available for players. If they wanted to throw them on or if they wanted to bring their own. It was just fun, something different. Players liked it. Some of them threw out some extra gifts and things that they had. I didn't see it in the end. Danielle Kang had some items from the Gretzky family that she was throwing out. I saw a couple other head covers being thrown out by a few other players. Just neat and just a nice addition. And I think the players enjoyed that as well. It was a very Canadian experience for those players.
Very much so. Now, let's get to the winner. Quickly here.
Sure. Paula Reto.
Paula Reto, she opens up with a 62.
Yeah,
a lot of times
incredible.
you open up with a 62, what do you do to back it up?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
she just
Hard
played
to
three
do.
more extraordinary rounds of
She
golf
did.
after the
Yeah.
62, and was she wasn't at the top of the leaderboard start to finish, but she was up and down.
She was there.
But she was right in contention the whole weekend. And what's incredible about this is that Paula Reto, this is her 9th year on the tour.
It is.
It's 157
events
that she's played without a win.
Yeah.
This is her first win.
Yeah.
And she looked like her game.
She didn't look like a non-winner, did she?
My God, she did not look like a non-winner.
Yeah.
She was dialed in. Everything was like, even when she missed, her up and downs were incredible.
Yeah.
She managed her game extremely well. Like when we watched her
calm
play
too, eh?
Oh my
like
gosh,
she's the whole time.
So happy. The big loop earrings on there. She just looked like she was having fun.
Yeah.
There was and I'm sure that inside she was probably like grinding it out.
Which she said she was nervous for sure. She was nervous on the final putt, which was just like a little short putt.
Yeah,
right?
But it didn't, and it was for something. You know what I mean? Like it's not like she had a 4-shot lead coming down 18.
No,
she still had
a 4-shot lead earlier in the 9, but that was only the 14.
She still had to, finish that round of golf, and she did, and it just looked like it's all good.
Yeah, and she got past Nelly Korda, obviously super accomplished player, and Hai-Jin Choi, who had had a chance to tie her as well on 18. So she really had to close out the deal. It wasn't like it was an easy walk there, although she made it look that way. She flared her 3-wood out to the right side on 18, had a not great lie down there. Thankfully she had a lot of green to work with, but again, she was super nervous, but she putted incredibly. A friend of ours who used to do the T-Talk podcast with us happened to be in the same group because he was caddying for Charlotte Thomas, so Stefan Tidor, and he got to watch that 62 up close, and he said, man, she just made 30-footers, 40-footers. She just made everything during that 62. And she had just started working this past week with Gareth Raflewski, a Canadian coach who's actually from Ireland originally. That was helpful. Obviously, she drew a lot of experience or a lot of confidence, out of that first day and just carried it through, which, as you mentioned, it's easy to do that. I won't say easy, but a lot of times it happens at a tournament where a player will come out hot, shoot 9 under the first day and then just disappear. But, she didn't disappear the whole week long. No,
not at all. Now on Friday, it would have been nice if this had happened on Sunday, but it didn't. But on Friday, I guess if Brooke is Canada's sweetheart when it comes to golf, then
1A and 1B here.
Yeah, exactly, big time. Lorie Kane was a big inspiration for Brooke, and she played in her final CP Women's Open championship this year. Very emotional. Very emotional year. Very emotional week. Very emotional. Final putt. Looked like she was having a lot of fun playing with Elena Sharp and
Sarah Jane Smith.
It's the end of an era, but it's not over for Lorie Kane. Obviously, she's still going to play, but it was a very emotional time. But it was so great to see it. So great to be there to see it. And I just can't say enough about what Lorie Kane has done for golf in Canada, for young ladies taking up the sport in Canada, for charities, for inspirations to people like Brooke and to Elena and so many others that have watched her and had the opportunity to speak to her. So this was a great big send-off on Friday, emotional, but it was an awesome time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be shy about saying I shed a few tears. Chris Stevenson did as well. My family's from PEI. We've talked about this before, and Lorie's a little bit ahead of me, only by 5 years in age, but certainly, she proved to me that, people from small towns can do big things.
Yep.
And certainly, I'm getting emotional even talking about it.
Yeah.
I happened on TSN 1200 on Saturday when I was talking to Kevin's show. I was starting to well up, but it was neat to see. She had her niece Charlotte Jenkins caddying for her. It was fun, especially those last 4 holes. I think I shot 600 photos in those last 4 holes, whether it was the jersey, looking up to, kind of acknowledge her dad who passed away, Jack Kane, 4 weeks ago. The custom head cover she'd made was made by Dormy Workshop that included part of her dad's cashmere sweater in it. There was just so much to it. It was such an important moment in golf history in Canada. Chris Stevenson had caddied for her in 1994 at the Ottawa Hunt Club, winning a Canadian women's tour event. 1994, winning a Canadian women's tour event. And, Lorie said to him afterwards, we're all in the scrum area, and she's like, it's full circle.
Yep.
It's full circle as far as these things. And she was just so gracious during it. It was a hard thing for her. She still wanted to compete. She wanted to play super well. But, I think the cool part was she started in pouring rain on Friday, 7:10 in the morning. It was horrific as far as the weather. But when she putted out, just for those few moments that she putted out on 18 to cap off her 30th CP Women's Open, the sun was shining appropriately. And as you mentioned, she's not done with golf. She's going to play senior events, US Senior Open. She'll play when she can. She's certainly going to have a role here in Canadian golf as an ambassador. Amazing work she's done with CP as an ambassador for them as well. And she knows that's an important part. And this is just her opportunity now to step aside, as she said, and let another Canadian get that spot so that someone else she can lift up, as she has always tried to do during her career. So thank you, Lorie. They had a big sign up with thank you, Lorie, out there very appropriately. Great send off, everything everybody would have hoped for, and looking forward to Lorie's next chapter.
Beautiful. All right. Lastly, with respect to the CP Women's Open, like many of the PGA Tour, LPGA Tour, these professional events, charitable. There's a charitable component that is pretty prominent, and this one is this is incredible. That they raised more than $3 million. For regional charities.
Yeah, the CP Heart program, the CPS Heart program, incredible. $2.5 million of that is going to CHEO, Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. Very important support there. Another $510,000 is headed towards Smith Falls and the Perth, the hospital foundation in that area, which obviously, Brooke is from that area. So it's nice that they're supporting that as well, because obviously, her participation in this event does drive a lot of those, charitable efforts. So it's nice that some of that money is going back into their community as well. So, over 3 million. And these are what it's about. It's not a big money-making scheme that, and a lot of people don't understand the logistics of these tournaments. But the biggest thing here is charity more than anything, and giving back to the community. And, the more that people show up to support this event, the more money that goes back into charity.
Exactly.
So great to see. And again, kudos to CP for the continued support of CHEO and other regional hospitals.
Cool. All right. Well, that puts a big stamp on our wrap up of the CP Women's Open. We're obviously, we knew that this podcast was going to run a little bit longer than others, so we're going to have to take another quick break and then come back with you and wrap up the show with the Product Watch segment and a little last few words of wisdom from the two of us before we send you on your way for another week. So stay with us. When we come back, we're going to head and talk. See, I still can't do it. This is incredibly bad. This is going to be the blooper show if anybody wants to. We're going to take a quick break now, and when we come back, we're going to talk Product Watch. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
At Ping, our culture of curiosity has been driving innovations for over 60 years. Innovations like the new G425 iron, which brings you greater distance without sacrificing the forgiveness and control you need to play with precision. And with free access to the Arccos Caddy system, you'll play smarter and shoot lower scores. The new Ping G425 iron, better by every measure. Get fit today.
Visit ca.ping.com to learn more about G425.
All right, and back again. Once we are, I do thank you for hanging with us, hanging with Scott and myself and me in my whatever state I'm in. Anyway, all right.
Seems like you're the one that only got 2 hours sleep a night last week.
God, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's ridiculous. I think I'm going to go to bed right after I'm done this.
All right, sounds
good. Okay, I digress. Let's talk Product Watch. Product Watch is brought to you by Greensmere Golf and Country Club. Elevate your game at Greensmere. Choose between two great 18-hole championship courses. Distinctively different, definitely challenging. Visit greensmere.com for more information or to book your tee time. So, and yes, do that. Greensmere is awesome golf courses.
It is.
So go play. All right, Product Watch. This is your concept. You wanted to do something a little bit different, as always. We seem to be doing something a little different with Product Watch, which is good because we could just talk about new products all the time, but that would be just crazy boring.
There's just so much more to it when you talk about products and equipment.
Exactly.
And golf,
so you're kind of looking at doing sort of a what's in the bag plus some trends. So let's talk about, obviously, we're going to talk about what's in the bag right off the bat with Paula Reto.
Yeah, and actually, this is just a coincidence that Ping happens to be the sponsor.
I know
this week.
it is. Now, look at
that.
It is a coincidence.
I had no idea.
Scott had no idea that Ping was a sponsor this week when he sent me this, and I'm like, that's a happy accident.
it was, but it just first off, just some observations and things, and we'll get to talking about trends and things that we see in the LPGA Tour. And one thing I should say is that we see some things on the LPGA Tour that are more reflective of what you see at your average golf club. Unfortunately, on the women's side of the game, we don't have a lot of these big commercial deals where an athlete is sponsored for millions of dollars, sadly. But we do see some players that have one brand kind of through their bag a fair bit. Maybe they had some allegiance or loyalty through the years, and Paula Reto happens to be mostly a Ping player all the way through. And I'll just give a quick drop, and we won't get into too much about what's in her bag, but driver, she's a Ping G425 9-degree loft, which it turns out is probably one of the most common lofts on the LPGA Tour. 3-wood's a Ping G425 LST, so a low spinning one. I think she uses it a lot off the tee, although I didn't see a lot of that this week. Does obviously use it off the deck as well. Hybrid, a Ping G425 19-degree loft. I can get into all the shafts that people want,
no,
there's not really much point. The Ping iBlade are her irons. She plays forward a pitching wedge, which I'll get to in a minute. We'll talk a little bit about iron configurations that we see out on the tour. Wedges, she plays the Ping Glide 3.0 in 50-degree, 56, and 60-degree. Ping Vault 2.0 answer, and she plays the Titleist Pro V1 ball. So Ping player all the way through, even though she doesn't have a Ping bag. She has a sponsored bag for another one. But I would say that, Ping drivers are definitely a very common one on the tour.
Yeah.
And now the neat thing about, the LPGA Tour and being a different microcosm, in a lot of cases, these are players that are playing the product that they feel is the best for them.
Right. They're not paid. They're not necessarily paid to play that product.
Correct. Exactly. They're trying to go for fit. So you see a lot of Ping Titleist TaylorMade drivers that tended to dominate as far as the trends that are out there. A lot of these bags are what I would call agnostic. They're varieties. They basically have a lot of the clubs that are in there. Talking to a couple of players, some of them will work with the manufacturers. There's some reps on site that work with them. Other ones will just work with a club fitter and go through a product line and then maybe reach out to the company for product. But they'll just try to find the best clubs for them. So it's not unusual, especially when you're digging through. And I didn't dig through. I wasn't sticking my hands at all the golf clubs of all these players, but being on the driving range at the CP Women's Open, you're able to look down into some of the bags, and I would see up to 5 different brands
Mhm.
in a bag, and there's something to be learned there. Your set doesn't have to match the clubs in there.
No.
It has to match what you need it to do from a performance standpoint. And I think that's what the average golfer can learn from that, is that, your set doesn't have to have, all the same brand name to it. Your set needs to be the 14 clubs that will help you be the most effective to play the game of golf
Absolutely.
the way that you want it to be. So any trends or anything that you saw? I don't know if how much equipment that you were looking at when you were out there.
I wasn't looking at a lot of equipment. I did notice a lot more, and I am noticing this both on the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour, but I noticed it a fair bit on the LPGA Tour. So there's a lot more PXG. And interestingly enough, I had a conversation with somebody from PXG last week. So, so there's that. I don't know that that's a trend. I just happened to notice a lot more. There was a lot more players using their clubs, wearing caps, and things like that. So I'm not saying it was like a massive amount or anything like that. I noticed it a little bit more than.
I would say some brands are being a little bit more aggressive on the LPGA market than others, for sure.
But other than that, I mean, one of the things I'm noticing a lot of, and even in my own bag, is where the irons start. Where
huge.
It's not starting necessarily and going four iron to pitching wedge or 4 iron to gap wedge, and where now you're starting to see them
3 or 2 iron.
You're starting to see them start at 5. You're starting to see them start at 6, and yes, the lofts are typically stronger than they used to be, but at the same time you're seeing more couple of hybrids, a fairway wood and a driver at the top end, as opposed to just a driver and a fairway wood and a bunch of long irons. It's so I think the hybrids, just generally the ball goes higher, and there's less, they're easier to get out of the rough, they're easier to get out of more difficult lies, and easier to control than the irons. So I mean, I know myself, my set starts at 4 iron.
Right.
Probably should start at 7 iron. I should probably have a bunch of hybrids in there too, but see, it's beat on me day.
Sorry,
beat on
Jeff.
me podcast. I deserve it.
Yeah, there's very few long irons out there. You certainly see 5 to pitching wedge is probably the most common configuration. More hybrids in there on the top end of the bag. As you mentioned, easier to launch, lower center of gravity, easier to hit out of rough. And that's one thing where a lot of players will struggle if they don't have a lot of speed. And, we see some different variances for the PGA Tour versus the LPGA Tour. Obviously, the top end of the LPGA Tour, you have a lot of players that have a fair amount of speed. You have some players that relatively to their skill level don't have a lot of speed, which makes it a lot more difficult to get out of the rough. And, I witnessed that in a couple players in the practice round, just watching. They were struggling to get out of the rough, especially when they tried to use a too lofted or too less of a loft in their irons. And it probably would have been better if they'd gone with a hybrid situation where, the mass is a lot lower. You can launch the golf ball in the air. You can take advantage of the fact that your speed's lower to get the ball up for apex to get carry out of that. So you definitely see a lot more 5 woods on the LPGA Tour, 7 woods as well. You're seeing that trend too on the PGA Tour. These greens are, you got to remember, these golf courses are set up much differently than you would be at home. You've got greens that are 13, they're firmer. They weren't as firm this week at the CP Women's Open as they normally would be, but there's only 2 ways to stop a golf ball: either a spin or you have a steep angle of descent for the ball to stop. And so you need a golf ball to be coming in from the air, and it's much easier to do that with a 5 and a 7 irons, or a 5 and a 7 wood, or a hybrid. So I would say that definitely, the average golfer should start to explore that area a little bit more, less of the, I'm going to go driver 3 wood and let's put a 2 iron or a 3 iron in the bag. Give that a toss out, get some loft in there, check those gaps with your fitters as well to see how you're doing. And, this is a good example in 2 ways for players: agnostic, get the clubs that fit you, as far as your set is concerned, and consider clubs that are making it easier. Throw away the ego. get the clubs that make it easier to hit the golf ball in the air. These are world-class players.
Yeah.
World-class players. If you put a 3-iron or 4-iron in their hand, they could get their way around the golf course. But they also know that if they put a hybrid in there or a 5 and a 7 wood, it's going to be easier to launch the ball and stop the ball, and that's what they need to do in those gaps. So I think if people pay attention to that a little bit more, learn from the LPGA, they'll be much more successful. And hey, you know what? That's why we look at some of these things in Product Watch.
Very cool. All right. I never thought that I would say this at this point during a podcast, but God, I'm glad that we're at this point. I'm glad to be saying that's a wrap, folks. It's time for us to get out, but yes, that is a wrap on another episode of the Flagstick Podcast. Obviously, before we close everything out, 2-ball championship coming up next weekend at Brockville Country Club. We still do have a few spots left.
Grab them
if
now.
you want to get in, do it now, because they have to close the registration to be able to formulate the draw and everything. Course setup is, we've already gone through that. We did our pin positions yesterday. We're ready to rock. And we'd like to see a few more teams in there. So go to flagstick.com and get yourself registered for the 2-ball. That's that. All right. Now we're shutting it down. I'm shutting it down. Scott may have a bowl of energy and ready to go here, but I'm out. Thanks to all our sponsors this week, as always, Metcalfe Golf Club, Golf Sim Gurus, Greensmere Golf and Country Club, Kevin Haim Golf School, and our presenting sponsor this week, Ping Golf Canada. If you're looking to improve your game, then you need to check out the entire family of G425 drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, and irons at ca.ping.com. I am glad you listened in and or watched this episode. Be sure to follow us across all social media networks, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like us and click the notification bell to make sure you never miss a single episode, because you'd miss this kind of an episode, and you don't want to miss this kind of an episode. Get over to flagstick.com for even more amazing golf content delivered every single day. As always, we do appreciate you tuning in. And until next week, when I'm more awake, I am Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
And always remember, go for the stick.